Welcome to the opening round of Rocket League competition here at the Collegiate Esports Commissioners Cup 2024, presented by McDonald's of North Texas. From Group D of competition, let's meet and greet your teams to the stage for our featured matchup. At the number 9 seed, Davenport University. The starting lineup: Byro, Bolte, Para. And their opponents, the number 16 seed, Northern Arizona University. The starting lineup: Galaxies, Beast, Chronicle. Now, please welcome back to the stage for the pre-match showdown, your host, Hercules.
Hi everybody, welcome back to CECC 2024. We've got a second round of Rocket League coming up for you guys here. We've got Davenport versus Northern Arizona, another tale of a David and Goliath story that you won't want to miss. But before we head into that, let's bring up a couple of our players here. You guys, if you want to come and talk to me, I think who wants to? You want to come over here with me? Come over here. Yeah, I know you want to be on the main stage. You made it up here so far. Hi.
Hello.
And hello. Welcome over here, you guys. All right, before we get into things, we're going to do a nice little handshake. Keep things fair before the smack talk starts. There we go. Now, I did want to start off by saying, again, David and Goliath story between you two guys, right? It's a little bit of an underdog for y'all, but in the last series we saw, we couldn't quite count out Syracuse. How does that make y'all feel headed into your match? Is there a little bit of a spark of hope that you think people shouldn't be counting you out for?
Oh yeah, definitely, of course. I mean, we come in as the number 16 seed, but people definitely can't sleep on NAU, and we're here to play.
Well, we're excited to see you play, and speaking of somebody that's probably excited to see them play over here, listen, Para, you guys, from what I've heard, you went like, what, 4-0 in your grand finals match to get here or something like that? You guys are terrifying. I need to know, what are the LAN vibes like, though? I know it's a little bit different than versus online.
We bring the energy. We are going to be the loudest team here. We're planning on all the people back there to be able to hear us. Like, there's no team here that's going to be louder than us.
Is that a challenge for you guys?
I mean, I guess we're going to find out.
All right, well, thank you both so much for hanging out with me. I'll let you get back to your stations before the match gets started, but give it up for both of our teams here, crowd. Now, guys, a reminder, I do want to make note, as somebody that is involved in the Rocket League scene, all of our CRL teams are the first league that didn't have CRL this year, which means this is our main event. They've worked all year long to get here, so get loud for them, get excited. We've got Taco and Bass taking it back with us for another cast matchup. Boys, this one's all yours.
All right. We are back. It is our second game of the day. This one a little bit different than the first. Last time we saw two teams that were 1-0. They were trying to get to 2-0 and more or less guarantee themselves out of groups. This time it's about kicking off the group in the best fashion possible. Two teams starting off for their group here in Davenport and NAU. And look, I appreciate you, Des. You're doing a good job at making, it feel pretty even. But look, Taco, I think we know one of these teams, they got some experience behind them.
Yeah, Davenport is very much so that perfect encapsulation of a team that is very much so on the cusp. They've always just barely fallen short, but they have gotten into a lot of side events. They've gone really deep in those events, but the thing is, this is kind of our premier event, as Hercules said, is that you have to play all year for an event like this. They came through, be able to get through that Great Lakes Conference, and I think being able to win in that part of collegiate is pretty impressive considering the Great Lakes region has a lot of concentrated talent. So at the end of the day, this is a team where maybe you haven't heard of the program too much in the Rocket League space, but these players are insane. Plenty of crazy upsets. I believe this is actually a squad that actually took down some of our top seeds in some of our qual brackets before. So certainly nothing really to underwhelm them in terms of our preparation. But Northern Arizona, more of an upstart university, but they still be able to make their name. They got here through Big Sky, which is a competitive conference in its own right. So really don't want to count them out, but certainly Davenport, as I said, they're here to play. They're loud, and they deserve to be.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they're one of the best teams that we have at this competition. When we were looking through the bracket and trying to figure out what teams we expected to make it into that top 12 and into the playoffs, they were by far one of the ones that we weren't even really questioning if they were going to be able to get there. Now, on the other side for Northern Arizona, though, they can look at that and go, I don't care. I do not care, and I will not care. They are going to come into this one with the utmost concentration to play this one as if it doesn't matter who their opponent is. Why? Because if you're coming in as the underdog, your only goal is to get one upset win. And then the next, and then maybe let that snowball into a top 12, into a playoff position. I believe in this Northern Arizona team. Again, it's just difficult because like we saw from the last time that we saw Rocket League teams play here on stage, 40 minutes ago, we had a clear favorite in LCU, and Syracuse still kept it competitive. They were almost able to beat the team going to 2 overtimes, and I think a 2-goal game at the end that was almost a 1-goal game.
Yes.
I'm hoping that we can see a similar result here. I don't know enough about this Northern Arizona team to say if they are going to stack up against said Davenport team, considering, like we just heard, the upgrades this Davenport team has been putting in time and time again, but I'm hoping that they can. I want to see a good series here, and I believe in Northern Arizona to deliver upon that.
Yeah, now I've run into Chronicle and Galaxies from time to time, and I trust in their skill. There's certainly any team that gets in here. Sometimes you have these kind of side events where it's like, oh, well, you have these different leagues, you can qualify it, and then it's kind of just like team creeps in, and they're just really underwhelming, and they're not able to really stand up to the competition. I think that this is going to be at least a narrow game, but the thing is, that's exactly what we saw in the Syracuse game against LCU. It's one thing to keep it close. It's nothing to be able to, one, keep a lead and then maintaining it. Two completely different things. So you need to make sure you're playing, as we mentioned, a full game of quality Rocket League, and I think against Davenport, they're going to test your backboard, and they're going to be bringing at you fast and furious. They said they're loud, and it's because they're just playing like absolute psychos. Maybe we'll see that coming in within game one, but maybe we'll have to delay that one potentially a little bit further as we saw potentially some DCs coming through.
All right, well, we might have to take a second here and run this one back. We're about to find out here. Oh, based on the fact that I'm now back on your lovely screen, I would think so. We'll get back into more theorizing here, and actually it's great because I did want to give at least one more shout-out. Shout-out to Shaner! That's actually one of the coaches here. It's going to be for Davenport. I'm a big fan of his, not only for the fact that, A, I like coaches in Collegiate Rocket League. We need more of you guys, more people with experience coming in to teach these kids how to play at a nearly professional level. But he also actually does work with a professional team as well with one of my students that I end up coaching. Shout-out to G Buffo. Is that the name of the team? I think it's still the same name of the team. He's been coaching them through RLCS and professional play lately, and that is actually genuinely a huge boost in an environment like that. When you have coach teams at quite literally the highest level of Rocket League, you know how to handle nerves in a situation like this.
I feel like we're like the worst persons to make that biased comment, though, because like you yourself coach Oklahoma Christian and Park, I coach University of South Florida, so it's kind of like coaches probably, I would argue, the most important person as part of the process.
Handshake,
just really patting ourselves on the back, the most flexible of things, saying, honestly, without coaches, these programs would be nothing. They would just be scum for the rest of the teams to wipe up. But we take them all together. But either way, no, I think Shaner's done a great job. And honestly, all these coaches here, shout out to the coordinators being able to make sure these teams are waking up for their alarms and getting to their games in time. And also being able to pop off when it matters most. Let's try that one more time. Game one of Davenport, Northern Arizona.
I really do appreciate you being like, making sure the players wake up on time. You think that's like not actually that important of a job? I'm very surprised at the amount of times that actually becomes an issue. Hopefully the two teams are not asleep here. Hopefully they are ready to go, ready to get into the action as we kick off our first game. Again, look towards this blue team, look towards Davenport. We really need the team to set the tone, but I'm also curious to see how Northern Arizona responds.
And right now from Davenport, you're going to see a lot of air dribbles, but also a lot of interesting combinations. It's a team that really likes to get experimental, and I mean that in the best of ways. They're not just throwing something at the wall and seeing if it sticks. They are really try to work in the comms and bring the ball down the field in ways that you don't necessarily expect. Meanwhile, Northern Arizona, they're doing the more standard build-up, but anything's standard except for going off the ceiling for the reset. And right now, Davenport getting put on notice early. Got to make sure you put a hand up as another pass tries to get through, but looks like Davenport has everything covered so far.
This is a very different game than what we just played. witnessed, mainly also because we almost had an own goal. I don't know if we ever got that close in the last series that we ended up watching. But the other reason I was going to say is look at the difference in rotations for Davenport here. This is the team that is in the lead. It's not maybe by scoreline, but again, by presence, by the expectations coming into this one. LCU came into the last one expected to take the win, but we're a lot more disjointed. Not as necessarily a steadfast rotation versus what we're seeing here at a Davenport, where there's not a gap being given. They have a player in the face of Northern Arizona at every opportunity.
Bolte trying to take that one calmly down. That's something that you'll see a lot in these higher level teams. They're more willing to take the possession out of the back line. But the issue is that if they get challenged too quickly, that can turn into a goal quickly. Right there, I think Davenport kind of found themselves in kind of a sticky situation, and that's why they're still in it right now. They're not escaping their corner. Limited boost. Northern Arizona knows that they can sniff blood in the waters. Chronicle trying to keep these plays going, but they don't have an assist yet as this pass comes in the middle. Everyone's back at the mid. No one really wants to clamp on down and take that risk.
I want to see Northern Arizona keep this type of consistency up throughout the series, because if they do, we actually might get a lot more of a back and forth series than I had anticipated prior. They are doing such a good job right now at not jumping when they don't need to. A great example there as Beast Mode Nazim does not jump for that. Why? He knows it's not going to be turning into a goal. He knows Davenport can get a pass through, but there's no angle for them to shoot at that he doesn't have covered. He doesn't see anybody jump. He doesn't jump either. It's really good play from Northern Arizona here. We've talked about how sometimes teams get onto land and they just get a little bit nervy and let those nerves take over. Neither one of those teams is doing that right now. We're halfway through this game, and this has been probably some of the most fundamental Rocket League in the best way possible that I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, notice how we have not had direct shots yet. It's all about trying to get those hard-fought double taps and then trying to get these infield passes, and it's not really working. It's not necessarily a sign of poor Rocket League. It's actually a sign of really good defensive Rocket League, because the teams have to go out of their wheelhouse to be able to generate any chance at an opportunity, and especially getting these dunks always helps. That's a bit more ordinary, and will not yield to anything. This Beast has that flick down the line and the boost steal as well. Maybe a pass in middle, but his compatriot gets demoed right behind. Plays like that are what kind of helps disrupt all these attacks.
Another attack being developed here. Davenport trying to get something to the backboard. One touch, maybe a second. Fibro throws a floater out, and Chronicle barely has to bail out his team. A little bit nervous for me right now if I am a Northern Arizona fan or one of the players here, because it feels like Davenport are starting to get more and more time on their half. They're starting to become a lot more lethal with the shots that they are developing. So far, they haven't actually been able to develop too much, though, because with 90 seconds to go, we are still scoreless here in our game. Could change, though. If not, again, great backboard reads here. Davenport, just such good defensive posture.
It's just a responsibility every team has to keep up. If you don't have someone on the backboard, it gets really dangerous. For example, they're late to that one, but Galaxies is also a bit tardy, not able to get that touch on target, and so they're going to have to go back out to midfield. Beast doing a great job of that one. A deflection, if it was a little bit sooner, might have been a pass. However, it still finds its way to that net shot. How about a third? Galaxies off target, and it's going to get the boost steal for a little bit of a consolation prize.
Not really sure if that would have turned into a goal either way. Davenport really well prepared on almost every shot, every attempt that Northern Arizona is coming out with right now. You got to keep that up, though. 50 seconds to go, and if you slip up for even a moment, that could end this game. So many close games today. Could be close games in this series as well, as here we go. Davenport marching downfield. Bolte, no boost in the tank, and they will back off entirely. Honestly, probably the smarter play. You do not want to overcommit here and now with so much on the line.
Chronicle knows it. He'll take that first touch, but that's stolen away. And with interference in the goal, it's Bolte in the clutch with under 30 to go.
I'm sorry, can we try to measure this angle, or is that not physically possible? Because what on earth? Out of the corner, Bolte just nails it on target. Props to Parra, though. Gets in goal and is able to just disrupt enough to where, yeah, maybe that's a savable goal. If you're just getting messed with, ain't no way.
And that's the thing. Chronicle does not make a mistake there. They just touch it a little bit too far away, thinking it's too much of an angle, but then the first player goes on through, disrupts the goalie. Speaking of, everybody in the way, and somehow the pinball is going to direct its way out. Davenport just barely gets away with that one. You know they're looking to the sky and saying thanks.
I'm looking to the sky and saying thanks. Or not even thanks, I'm saying how? That had to be a goal. Northern Arizona with every opportunity, but the team pinch, a miraculous one at that, will keep it out and win the game. Davenport taking in narrow fashion and I'd say unexpected ways.
And this is exactly what you need out of good rotation. As you saw from Davenport, they get it through that team bump into kind of clearing the path from an angle. But that angle is the only thing that went through. Look at that stat line. That's his first shot of the game, and it's from that angle. These chances are not coming along. If the rest of the series is like this, it's really going to come down to execution, not even just trying to pave the way for a very clear-cut chance like we saw in LCU for Syracuse. It's going to have to be super well earned, and I have to say Davenport certainly earned it there with a highlight reel goal to start off the series.
Oh, yeah, well earned on their in their favor. But also on the other side, I have to give credit to Northern Arizona. We came into this one recognizing that they could maybe keep the series close, that they could maybe be competitive against Davenport, who is, in our eyes, a shoe-in into our playoff bracket. But I didn't really expect them to keep it like that. It was scoreless through 4 minutes of play. And it wasn't through no fault of Davenport playing poorly. Like you said, they were being limited on shots. Northern Arizona playing such a good defense that just didn't give opportunities. And that's a lot easier said than done at this level of Rocket League.
Yes, and particularly you have to notice that Northern Arizona actually out-shooting Davenport in that last game 4-3, and it's necessarily because a lot of it was spent in the midfield. Not even a lot of saves, because mostly it was just kind of floating above, the ball was going around the goal, but not anything for the game to actually register as a direct offensive chance. And I think that's due to the fact that both these teams, as a classic feeler game for game number 1, where I think they're trying to look at each other, maybe they're not scrimming each other too much in the pit beforehand, or maybe they don't have a lot of intel on how these teams play. It's kind of hard sometimes to dig up that old tape, dig through, I don't know, any one of those replay savings websites to be able to actually check on the play style. And I think right now we saw that when Davenport was way less aggressive than I anticipated. Northern Arizona, they were more aggressive than I anticipated. They were going for a lot of bumps. They're going for air dribbles. They're trying to go through the midfield in interesting ways, trying to find those combinations. And that's exactly what I wanted to see. We saw this might be a David and Goliath, as Herc said, but I don't know about that one because David's putting up quite a fight.
I think that's where people kind of forget about this. David won in that fight, if I'm not mistaken. And I feel like a lot of people use that comparison and then go, well, yeah, but Goliath is going to win. I don't know about that. If Davenport keep taking shots like this, maybe the Goliath will win. But I have some faith in David right now. Northern Arizona, you start off game number 2 on the back heel. Let's see how you escape.
Galaxy able to at least escape somewhat as they get the 50 doubled up and back past Davenport, and now they're going to have something more of a clear. Oh, sorry, I thought bolts on by. That's the speed at play, so fast that his teammates couldn't even catch up to it.
Neither could Northern Arizona. There's a team bump leading to a lot of space for Byron to work with. What a beautiful air dribble to just keep that one close. The only issue, no good follow-ups. 2 teammates double commit, which means the end of the offense here for Davenport. Maybe not. Good midfield presence will give them another chance here. Byra off the ceiling, drop down to his teammates. Connection will not be found. Interruption from Chronicle is going to most likely end this offense for Davenport.
Bolte all the way back, and I thought there might be some interference, but no, it's just some pad stealing from the side of Northern Arizona. Chronicle will have to reach over backwards for this one. I thought they might have actually miscalculated that one, but either way, should be fine for Northern Arizona. The thing is, they have to make sure on these touches they're getting deflections, but smart ones. That one goal Davenport got in the last game was off of a brief deflection. Now Davenport, clearly, they don't need a lot of space. They need a little bit more clearance on that crossbar, though. They're not able to put that one on target, but that is how quickly things can go wrong when you're a little out of position.
I just love the idea there, though, from Davenport. It's not just the initial pass, but it's the pass back to the player. Rather than ripping a shot on target, you want to try to cut through the lanes there and just recognize, hey, they're expecting the shot, which means it's going to give you a ton of time to try and get some sort of pass through and catch them off guard. Speaking of catch them off guard, Northern Arizona feels like they're just completely uncomfortable right now. Ever since that offense started, ever since that shot was taken, they just can't seem to find a way to get a grip on this game. But 2 minutes removed and an offense now brewing for them. Maybe this is where they turn it around.
Chronicle, he saw that one coming, but fortunately for Davenport, so did they. They were able to still deflect that, get the boot past 1. Galaxies again showing off that 50 strength, which now leads into an air dribble. That's past 1. How about 2? But unfortunately, Bolte just long enough of a car on that Fennec to get that deflection. Back in the middle still is Para. Trying to find that combination of Bolte into the ceiling. No reset as he's going to wait for another play. Slow and steady toward the goal, but that is not going to win that race to the ball.
I don't know how many hesitations they're throwing in here, but it's a hezzy here, hezzy there, and it just keeps on taking so much boost away from Northern Arizona and keeps them second guessing. Again, that touch off the ceiling, you're expecting a follow-up touch. There doesn't happen to be one, and Para just ends up taking the shot. Northern Arizona doesn't expect it, and although they make the save, it just continues to ruin their rotations. This is intentional from Davenport. It's a slow burn effect, but eventually once they get the chance, you know they ain't missing.
Who else but Bolte? 4th time is the charm for himself, and he's going to do it all by his lonesome Park. However, does get that lead demo, but still, that's an angle and a half with 2 defenders in the way. The margin for error is so small, but clearly Davenport needs no more invitation than that.
Davenport playing so clinically right now. It's just good fundamental Rocket League. And again, I know that a lot of people have heard us talk about LCU earlier, talking about how they got to get a little bit more spicy, but they got to get a little bit more unique, take these different approaches. Davenport don't need that. I like the way they're playing right now. It's good defense, good midfield, good offense all around. They're not forcing the issue. They are waiting for their opportunities to come, and when the opportunity does arrive, they strike the iron while it is blazing hot.
They even get almost pre-jumps there. That lob was already met by Par, not kind of fall on it too much as they technically got one more touch. Now Chronicle only has one because no more boost in that tank. Not able to reach that double, but that ball should be available down the sideline. Deflection into Beast. That's an open shot. What a save from Bolte to keep it at 1-0.
Bolte, truly the MVP right now, both on offense and defense. That's his 4th save of the game. My goodness, Bolte really putting the team on his back when it comes to defensive posturing, and he's going to do it again. Great touch off the backboard and some space to work with. Gets it around one, not around another, but here comes Davenport with just underneath 90 to play, with potentially another offense. That was a team bump. I thought that might end it, but instead Para finds some space from an open demo. Bolte there for the follow-up, and those are the headzies we've talked about.
And being able to play off of that, as you mentioned, Par dribbling it down, then understand they don't really have that much, but the problem is Galaxy's coming from the middle at that angle. It has to go off the corner or off the sidewall. It's exactly what Par knows. He lets nature take its course, and Bolte is waiting in the middle as always. Flawless positioning, and that is why Davenport is extending this lead.
I am a little bit uncomfortable not mentioning Byra's name as often as we have here today so far. He's usually a highlight player for this Davenport team. He doesn't need to be right now. He's getting involved when he needs to. He's playing a great role on his team, but it really is the Par and Bolte show when it comes to offense. 3 goals so far, all of them being Bolte, and 2 of those goals being assisted by Para, the only assist thus far. But we can't count out Northern Arizona quite yet. It took them 9 minutes to get their first goal, but they finally do.
And it's off of a bit of a giveaway. Just too heavy of a touch, and Chronicle does not need really more space than that. A nice double tap, even with Davenport getting back, means that, yes, you have your largest lead of the series. You got your 2 goals. That's all great, but we've seen this story before in our previous series. That does not guarantee you the game, particularly with 40 seconds to go. That aerial might, though, as Bolte has a lot more space. Not too much boost. He gets past the first defender, but not the bar.
Doing a good job, though, at just trying to keep Northern Arizona in their half. If they don't get even a shot at offense, there's no way that they tie this game. With only 20 to go, they need to limit them for only a couple seconds longer. Easier said than done, though. Here's some more offense from Northern Arizona as we get a touch out of the corner. Beast takes this one center. Awkward touch off the backboard, but Para in the nick of time. A great play, and that might end the game. Downfield it goes, and if Davenport can just keep it here, Northern Arizona get no chance. They try to keep it up, and Byra says, I'll have none of that. Oh, wait.
And that last second shot, though, will hang on that near post, and now it's got to go coast to coast. Par knows it. That deflection now into the ground. Bolte saying, why are we playing around? Take the dub, gents, and Davenport will on to match point in their opening match of Group D.
I really thought we were going to get another miraculous 0-second goal. I don't know why. It just kind of feels like they're in the air here today, and I felt like Northern Arizona had the momentum to do so. Unfortunately for them, though, they do have the player that we've said hasn't need to show up all too much, and when he does for a reason. Byra spiking that one down and closing out the game with style, and potentially closing out the series. Davenport 1 away from our second 3-0 sweep on the day here for the Rocket League portion, and oh my goodness. Guys, I know that Rocket League, points don't always matter. 800 points? Yeah, that matters.
Bolte says, step into my luxury backpack, and I will guide you to the promised land. Wow, Bolte getting those 2 goals, but let's not really forget Para getting that first assist. The first one might have been a solo play, but it's still a team effort, particularly with 10 shots. It's not the best conversion rate, but you don't need it to be because it all builds to these eventual breakthroughs on defense. And speaking of, Northern Arizona has impressed me with a lot of their midfield defense. It's really just those temporary moments where you can see them kind of collapse on goal or getting boost, and then they kind of glance upfield and realize, we don't have anyone at the top of that box. And that's really where Davenport is striking. I think that's probably the biggest concern that Northern Arizona has to do. I think everyone thinks of defense as you rotate through in a cycle, go to back post, but the problem is you need to have someone, typically that second man, watch that midfield to jump out and be able to dive in front of those chances. And without that, I think we're starting to see Davenport catch on to that. A lot more infield plays directly on top of that box.
And this is kind of what separates teams at this level. We've talked about it. A lot of these teams are going to be competitive back and forth, and you're going to see score lines that are going to be 3-0s, but with these 1-goal games in between. Why? Because it's about not forcing the issue. It's about waiting for those moments to show themselves. It's when you know you are the better of the 2 teams, relying on the fact that you will be better for a longer period of time. Consistency, one of the most important things within Rocket League, and if you slip up for even a moment, you could end your series. For Northern Arizona here, they recognize that's the scenario that they're at. They lose one more game and it's over. Oh my goodness, Para trying to make sure that's the way this goes.
Trying to get the Arsenal reset. Doesn't always work out, but Byra will be able to cover them by going off the ceiling for that one. Galaxies little three-point turn and a lead block. However, there's 2 players back for it, so even with the demo not clearing the way, I do like the physical effort. If it's hard to break through Davenport, maybe just get them out of the way as they're going to go around you on offense. Byra, too late to that one, so no opener.
I don't think Byra expected to even challenge. He was all the way on the back half and was expecting somebody from Northern Arizona to pop it to him. Once he recognized that there was that amount of space out of midfield and he could continue the offense for his team, he went, okay, I guess, sure. Somebody played defense for the team, though. 2 weird misses in a row in the corner and a quadruple commit, 2 from each side. Northern Arizona definitely had a chance there, but unfortunately for them, their giddiness got the better of them. That's the moment where you have to make sure that you stay calm and composed. You don't get opportunities like that all too often, and when you do, you cannot let Davenport immediately counterattack after.
Well, a lot of counterattacks are half idea and half execution. Execution lacking there for Davenport. If that pass is a little bit lighter to Bolte, we very well could have seen that opening goal. And I feel like for the most part, Northern Arizona, they're not overcompensating on defense. They're not trying to go too far across. They're not trying to ball chase. They're not trying to do anything. I think they're just trusting in the rotation. And for the most part, I think it's really working for them up until maybe giveaways come through. How about Byra trying to take his effort at a redirect? That angle was asking quite a lot.
I like the little skimmy wimmy from the corner. It didn't exactly connect how I was hoping for, but, honestly, Northern Arizona probably happy it didn't connect there, because that would have been a demoralizing goal to let go on in. The good thing is they haven't conceded one thus far. It's about 3:20 left on the clock here, and Northern Arizona have continued the same trend as every other game. We get into the back half of these, it is 0-0. It's really about the work that happens on the back half where the teams are under pressure that separates these 2 squads.
And we're talking about pressure. Granted, this is double Elam group, so you're not always going to have the situations where you actually do have to win these series. Ultimately, it's just about making sure you're staying in. Again, this is not differential. We don't have to worry about that as long as you keep it close. But at the very least, you want to make sure you get these dubs, and you want to make sure you want to put up a hand right there. Defense getting really sparse on the back end.
Was that a team up? I think Davenport had a chance to follow that one up through the corner, and instead they bumped their teammate. But here comes an opportunity. Bolte, time, space, the double on in! And that'll do it. 1-0. Davenport with a dagger.
These players are all students. You'd think you'd learned your lesson by now. Check the study guide. You can't be giving him that angle because he is automatic from that range.
It's always Bolte. It is literally always Bolte. 800 points last game, 2 goals. Game 1, he is the only goal that we see. And in this game, he might be the only goal we see again. It'll at least be the best goal we see. I don't know if anybody's going to be able to top that, except for maybe himself. Bolte, around 1, around 2, pinch out center. Where's the follow? He got the bump too. Bolte, dog, you got to calm down.
Someone needs to put this guy on a leash. After all, that is the Davenport mascot after all. But for the most part, I think his teammates are loving it, especially with this lead. 2 minutes remaining. Doesn't feel like a lot, but this is where the clutch factor really kicks in for these squads, particularly if that's not the best clear. Para gets a second, might rescue him at first, but Galaxies is getting robbed by Byra. Off the corner, Chronicle from an angle, off that post. It's sitting there for the finish. Where is the rotation?
Where are any of the Northern Arizona players? That one goes out at midfield longer than I can even count up to. And unfortunately for Northern Arizona, nobody capitalizes. Davenport gave you an opportunity to get back into this game, back into this series, and you didn't take it.
That's exactly why you want to monitor boost, because a lot of teams in the moment will just trust in those back corner grabs, those pads at midfield. But the thing is, you need to stay close enough. You don't need 50 to 70 to 100 boost. You just need something to be able to get close enough. And right there, I think that's a chance you're going to have to look back on in replay review if this game does not go their way. Galaxies is intent on not having that happen. Chronicle to the back post. Bang, bang.
Chronicle stepping up when he needs to, and Galaxy's making the right play here. Touches it out of the corner, recognizing Chronicle's got almost the entire net to shoot at. And look, Bolte, you've been a defensive mastermind this entire day. I don't know if you're stopping that one at any angle. 118, Taco, we got a game, and we might have an overtime if it stays this way.
Ooh, maybe not a kickoff, though, as that demo was clearing up. I couldn't really see who's going to burst through that smoke. Bolte still making sure that he's staying consistent off that backboard. However, a bump means that's a lot of space for Chronicle. That's not the role he wants, but he's still able to get something out of it. Going to call his own number is Beast. Now Galaxy's turn to lob that one forward. Off backboard, Byra. Low boost. Beast is going to turn for that, but again, the bounce isn't there. Galaxy has to cut on through, and the rotation's almost there from Northern Arizona. They're just not really reading these angles correct.
I thought that bump might have just completely dropped their entire rotation, given a chance for Davenport to find the ender here. 45 seconds to go. If either one of these teams finds a goal right now, I have to imagine that will be the final goal we see in the series, especially with passing plays like that. Bolte, it's staying heads up, staying proficient, and might need to stay in defense for a second here. Northern Arizona find a demo and launch themselves up in offense that can end this game.
Beast going to take a hefty deflection all the way to the far side, but really hampered Davenport. They get that first clear, but now that's a brilliant pass on the clear. That's just past the back post, and the lob up and over is going to keep things active. The drop down, Galaxies to the back post. The half flip backboard clear from Byra is creative, but it does not do its job. With under 10 to go, is Northern Arizona feeling lucky? If you ask Chronicle, certainly so. Pass down, it's in front of the goal, but everybody is looking at each other to tap it. One more effort from Balti, but it looks certain that we are headed into an OT unless Davenport is able to keep this one up. They also like their chances, but need a better touch than that. OT to potentially decide this series.
Davenport need one more, and they move on to take their first win of the day. And what a big win that would be! And it might just happen here. The own goal almost from Galaxies, but his teammates will back him up. The issue is, though, here comes the offense. Here comes the demo. Here comes the dagger. Para sending Davenport through. Frio, that's the win.
You might be thinking that shot isn't good enough, but that's why you have teammates. He might not score it, but it's Balti, my MVP, and I think the clear-cut favorite player here for Davenport, making it happen. That's going to be a 3-0. It took some doing, but Northern Arizona, sometimes the best lessons are learning that you have to make sure you test yourself on defense, be able to shore up all those holes, and even when it seems like you're playing flawlessly, Davenport will find a way. What a way to make their implant here in Group D for the opening match.
I mean, you say Davenport makes their mark, at this point. I'm going to be real. Balti made his mark. Fun fact, that goal that Para just scored in overtime is the first goal all series that someone on Davenport has scored that is not Balti. He had 4 goals, and the single goal that he doesn't score, he got the assist on.
It's really just sometimes you have that 100% goal participation. That's what you want to see from a player. And that's exactly also when you have that hot hand, you want to feed that player, constantly get them involved. And a player like Balti, I mean, he was doing it on both sides. That's the thing that was really amazing me. It's one thing that you get to see a lot of touches. He doesn't have any saves in this game, but often he is the player on the backboard patrolling things. He's calling off other players. He's mixing up the rotations to basically make sure that the people who are best suited for those touches get in the way. And that's that coaching at work. Davenport had some stresses, but outside the temporary lapses where we saw Northern Arizona get those open looks, it was pretty clean all throughout.
Now, on top of that, it's also, you look at that final game, and the big thing was that Northern Arizona had to earn that goal. Many times we will see this where the higher seed of the two teams ends up making a mistake, and then obviously, a competent Rocket League team is going to be able to punish upon that. That's not what happened there. Northern Arizona really earned that goal. Great play out of the corner, good shot all around, and this is kind of why I now look at Northern Arizona as maybe an upset team. I have no idea if they're going to be able to make it out of this group, but if they can play like that, I definitely think they've got a chance.
Yeah, and this is, again, when these teams come in and they're maybe that middle-of-the-pack seed when they come in through quals and saying, hey, well, maybe you're not necessarily someone we're going to see super deep, but you never know. They're playing nice, and honestly, they certainly got the rotation locked in. So certainly never to count out any of these teams. That's the opening match. The job is far from done.
Well, the good thing is we get to speak to the main man himself. Balti just put on a performance that I think will ring in his mind for many years to come. Let's see if it's going to do enough for Hercules to give him some interesting questions and maybe get this kid a little, give him some extra confidence,
Welcome back, everybody. Oh my gosh, a 3-0 sweep from Davenport, but the unofficial MVP of the series with me, Balti. Dude, I gotta ask you, just off the rip, what are the emotions like after that match?
It feels great. That last overtime was a little nervous, but, we got it done, and, just in those last moments of the game, I remember thinking, I don't want to have this reverse sweep. We just wanted to end it there, and that's what we did.
And you went psycho mode, dude. You were the only person, I think with the exception of the last goal, but even on then, you were the assist to that last goal. You were involved in every single play that your team put out onto the field. Was that a part of the game plan, or was that a vibe that just, kind of went in throughout the series?
It was kind of just a vibe, but that's kind of how we run scrims, and that was the game plan kind of going into it, so yeah.
Okay, I gotta ask, before we do shout-outs, how excited are you heading in to the rest of your group stage after that performance for yourself? Because did you expect that out of you?
Yeah, we're so excited for the rest of this tournament. We're looking for that win, and yeah. Yeah.
All right, looking for the win, excited to do so. We're excited to have you here. Thank you for hanging out. Is there anybody you want to shout out before I let you go?
Shout out to my family, my coach Shane, my director Noah, and just my teammates. They played great, so yeah.
Absolutely huge. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, Bolty. Congratulations on the win again. Guys, everybody give it up for Davenport's sweep and for Bolty's performance.